Talk to me about creating your own sportswear line. I mean, that's pretty extensive.
We're probably about 7 years in now. A run club of 170 members across the world.
What type of challenges did you face when you were launching your brand?
Everybody's is money. It's all steps, steps and steps and steps. Fail, step, success, fail, fail, fail. Take a little bit, but you gotta be patient too.
If you had a chance to go back 7 years and talk to the young Terrance Diggs, what would you tell him?
Definitely tell them it's not easy. You gotta be strong to be an entrepreneur. So you gotta just take it. All right, what's the next step gonna be, and go at it full force and keep the faith.
I'm Marcel Clark. This is Hustle and Grow. I have my friend right here, JT, out of Baltimore, Maryland. What's going on, man?
I'm doing good. Like I said, avoiding the rain, trying to stay dry and go from there.
Yeah, I hear you. So what? Sportswear designer over there, was it D17?
Yeah, a little bit of sportswear, lifestyle, getting back into the running scene out here and just having a blast while doing it. So that's the fun part.
Talk to me about creating your own, sportswear line. I mean, that's pretty extensive. Like, how did you even decide to go down that road?
Yeah, so we're probably about 7 years in now. I started the brand probably about 2016, 2017. And in my background, like I grew up playing sports like my whole life. I played basketball. I played golf for 4 years in high school. I played lacrosse, ran track. So it kind of was like a organic thing to kind of put together to include athletics within the brand. It was more or less, hey, how can we elevate the lifestyle and still kind of include health and wellness within the whole kind of just like brand portfolio? And here we are, we have a run club of 170 members across the world. I'm out here running these races too. And like I said, I'm having fun while doing it, trying to spread the awareness of the sport as well as trying to just push health and wellness to communities of color. So here we are.
So, talk to me about what's like the starting point on even getting ready to do your own brand. Like, what's the foundation for that?
Yeah, I feel like for a lot of people, it's always like trying to answer a question. Like usually like a lot of entrepreneurs, they find like a gap in something, whether it's a product that they see, community they're trying to serve. We always try to find solutions to stuff. I know for me, like I always wanted to kind of make my mark in sportswear. I feel like there's a time where, everybody was trying to collect every piece, every merchandise from their favorite teams and trying to be able to bring that nostalgic feeling back was something that I really wanted to do. And obviously, with the running side now, being able to kind of provide that opportunity and create opportunity through sports, not only in the communities that I'm around, like here in Baltimore, like in the Baltimore area, but communities across the US. We've done things in Charlotte, North Carolina, we've done things in Jacksonville, Florida, Miami, Florida. We're trying to get it a little bit more West Coast now, but as long as it's got people and athletes, I'll pop up there somewhere.
That's cool. Tell me about what's this? BAPE and then Keith? Is it Kith?
Yeah, so like BAPE and Kith, like the boutique brand up in New York, and then BAPE is in Japan. I did some work for them when I used to work for ASICS on the corporate side. Being able to like have those collaboration with some of those high end brands was like super cool for me, and I was kind of young when I was doing them. So those are like the things that I feel like kind of like validated me not only as a marketer but a designer as well. Kind of seeing those things that like I saw everybody wearing, and now I'm kind of in the loop as well. Doing those collaborations was exciting, but it took some time to get there too.
So, like, what type of challenges did you face when you were launching your brand?
Everybody's is money. How do you start it? You got to have capital to kind of go into it. I feel like a lot of people you kind of start broke and kind of go up from there. Being able to kind of identify those things early, I think was kind of a struggle for us. And then like anybody else is trying to find those ways to, remain sustainable and profitable, like trying to find manufacturers, where to do your marketing, where to get promotional items. Like they don't teach you that when you're trying to start a brand. You have to figure it out in a lot of Google searching. So, based off of that, it's like, okay, let's see how we can kind of streamline this stuff. Do we need to get outside help? And then going from there, it's all steps, steps and steps and steps. Fail, step, success, fail, fail, fail. Another step, and then you might get to where you need to be. It might take a little bit, but you gotta be patient too.
Well, I mean, that's a good question, though. So, I mean, as a young entrepreneur, I mean, how did you deal with the setbacks and failure I mean, because it seems like that's a big part of trying to get yourself out there.
Yeah, I think it took some time really to kind of be patient with myself. I'm the type of person that I like answers, I like solutions, and it's like there's no playbook. There's no You can read as many books I think as you can. I think you can watch as many YouTube videos and listen to a whole bunch of podcasts, but like every situation is different. I feel like everything's just so unique. But being able to kind of pull what works for you from every source is what I've found well. Like, if I'm watching YouTube video about how to manufacture, if I go to a networking thing and I find out, okay, this is the agency, they might be small, but they're looking for new clients, they might work in your budget range. I can't go to New York and get $100,000 logo designer. Sometimes you can teach it yourself. Sometimes you can learn the basics and stuff when you start to have those conversations. When you step in those rooms, they sound a lot more better to you. You kind of just build from there. So it takes time. Like I said, I'm, 7 years in. I feel like I haven't hit my peak yet, and still trying to push and find new ways, make new partnerships, meet new people, then keep spreading the message.
Yeah, that sounds like a whole lot of work.
Yes. Don't tell my parents. They definitely weren't the biggest fan. I was like, hey, I'm gonna go start selling t-shirts. They're like, you can go be an engineer, you can go do this, you can go do this. I was like, well, I don't know. Something's calling me to the streetwear life, and I've been living it, and I'm like addicted to it, and I feel like I'm doing pretty good so far.
Yeah, that's really cool story. So, like, how do you think your education played a role in your success?
I definitely think so I went to Towson University for undergrad. It definitely helped me kind of get out of my own shadow. I feel like in high school I wasn't the most sociable, I guess you could say. Like, being able in college, it helped me connect with like people, within your major or within your cohorts, understanding what those relationships are like. Like, I always tell people nowadays to, in those age, like network sideways instead of trying to network up. There's so many people that are doing the same thing. They might not be making clothes, but it could be somebody trying to start their own beverage brand. It could be somebody trying to start their own, I don't know, hat companies. So, like, for example, a buddy of mine that I went to high school with, Nick, he went to High Point University in North Carolina. He came with me an idea that he wanted to build an app. We had to be like 18, 19 years old. This is when, getting stuff on the App Store was the biggest thing ever. We sat down, talked about it, built an app together called Album Pop. He did all the hard work. I did all the pretty work. But we did like 20,000 downloads in like 6 months. Keep in mind, I'm in class, checking my phone, looking at the numbers and like checking all the, it's 99-cent download. I'm like, oh Lord, I'm rich. I'm sitting in this classroom. I don't need nothing. I don't need these classes, but it's like working sideways. There's people that you can work with, like, hey, I had a buddy that made music. His name's Kasim. You make music. I need a designer. I would be able to be that designer for him to make merchandise, posters, cover arts. You might meet a buddy. He's down the street. He's in the dorm across the street. He's an engineer. He's a producer. All right, we need beats. He writes, he produces, you design. We all kind of, we don't have budgets. I got meal passes and ramen noodles. So it's just kind of how it works. And even like starting my design journey, I always shout out my friend Kyrie. We lived on the same floor in the dorm. And back at that time, Photoshop was like CS4, CS5. You just, go to Staples or something and get the disc and download it. But like most people, they have a cracked version of it. Like you pirate it or whatever. I paid $19 in a chicken box for it, and I I used it for about 10 years before I even subscribed to get the actual Adobe thing. So Adobe don't kill me, but I made a pretty good name off a cracked version of Photoshop and Illustrator.
That's super incredible, man. But I like your concept and your thought process there, though, right? I think most people feel like they just trying to find people in the industry where like they can try to ladder, right? But like you're saying, listen, find people on multiple levels, and you can network sideways too, so you all can take advantage of basically your skill sets.
Yeah, it take like I always say, it takes time. Like you can try. I see TikTok videos and stuff. They say, hey, go to LinkedIn and go to the Nike page and click the people and find the head of marketing and send them an email. He don't got time to do that. I'm gonna tell you that now. He's got way bigger things to do to talk to a random person on LinkedIn. You might get lucky, but if you don't have the skills and the ideation, the pitches, the briefs to make that conversation successful, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot because it's all fun and games until the head of marketing at Nike says, "All right, what's the next step?" If you don't got it, sorry, they're on the next train.
So it's
Keep it moving.
almost, yeah, so you always have to be ready. You have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me about like branding D17. Like what's the normal path when you trying to brand a sportswear company? Like what are you encountering? Like what are your main ways to kind of push your company out there?
Yeah, I think right now, especially like taking on the running side, it's definitely like not a lot of people of color like in running or like long distance running. So that's always like half the battle when you try to go to these events or something. And it's like, hey, I make apparel. I'm also a black guy, so they're like, whoa, wait a minute. They don't really know like what to expect, or if I go to places, they're like, oh, are you like a brand rep or something? I'm like, no, I'm the owner. I'm out here running this thing too. So it's kind of like being able to make that next step like with peers and kind of that level. But since we do lifestyle and like the sportswear side, being able to like connect with those retailers, what that looks like, do you want to go big store, a mall, boutiques, in terms of like, I guess like a bigger picture, like I'd love to see us like as a collaborator of a bigger like sportswear company, like a Under Armour or Asics, a New Balance, they have all their own like tier like below brands that they work with. They constantly do collaborations or like people they do collaborators with, like Virgil Abloh with Off White, everything he did with Nike, obviously like Pharrell and what he's been doing with Adidas and Louis Vuitton. I hope that we can kind of get in that realm. We're very good at collaborations and event activation. So I think with like a bigger budget and a bigger, names alongside of us to do it, I think we could make some cool stuff. So I'm waiting for that day to happen. I'm with Asics now as a brand ambassador, so they've been helping supplying equipment and making those connections on the grassroots level. So I'm hoping we can kind of evolve on that. And I'd like my own shoe at some point, but
Yeah, it sounds like you're on the right track. So who are some of the people that inspired you to actually get into your industry and do what you're doing?
yeah, like I definitely would say like a lot of like the local guys here, like obviously like there's a brand called Swaver, we went to Towson together, Mingo by Domingo, like a lot of my peers really pushed me to kind of take those next steps. I guess like on a bigger level, like I love everything that Pharrell touches. I think he as they say, he's got the golden finger. It's like he touches stuff and then everyone else figures out how high to jump. I'd love to be like on that level, like obviously, like rest in peace, Virgil Abloh. Like he was huge in terms of being able to just take whatever you have and make something of it. He collaborated with Jay-Z and Kanye and being able to kind of take his skill sets and put them in other places. And obviously, like I love Kith, Ronnie Fogg. He's the owner. Like he's had multiple stores. They do collaborations with Marvel. They do collaborations with golf, tailor made. Like it's just like the possibilities are endless. I mean, I think if you've got an eye for design, you can make whatever you want. I might make my own collaboration popcorn machine. I don't know. Like, why not? Like, why can't I do it? Somebody else did it. So I just gotta make the right phone call. That's all I need.
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear you talk about artists like Pharrell, who basically we know he started out in a whole different genre, just music. But that generation has been able to kind of show you that you can actually use it's all about. I guess everybody now understands that you have to build your platform slowly, like you are, and then at some point as long as you keep on doing what you're doing, you'll get connected to where you're supposed to go, because it's basically the foundation that you're setting right now that everybody pretty much pays attention to, specifically in this environment right now where, you have a lot of influencers, but they're not really doing it.
Yeah,
that's interesting
it
behind
was
the
an
scenes with social
article. I
media.
forgot what media platform it was. It was an article. It's like this is random. It was like a girl. I think she had like 167,000 followers on TikTok, and she was like, "I'm gonna start a clothing brand." I think she sold like 15 shirts, and then went back on TikTok and was like, "Oh, like what happened? Like where was my audience when I needed them?" And it's like, it takes time to build that platform, whether it's organic, whether it's meeting people, whether it's, meeting people digitally. Like it takes those time to build those steps and like nurture them. I feel like, especially like early on, like in my career, I used to work at a nonprofit tech firm. I really got good at listening to salesmen. I got really good at how not just like, hey, buy this pen. Like it's not really like that. It's all relationships. It could take a year to nurture a relationship before they close a deal. I had to learn where I would listen to them and what that is like. Like, you might meet somebody, but you can't turn around the next day and be like, hey, I have a proposal. Like maybe it's if they have an event, maybe pull up to their event. If they own a space, maybe bring your business to there, kind of exchange that value. Or if it's, I don't know, engaging with their stuff on LinkedIn or Instagram. Like I think people enjoy that. I know I do. And then when the time comes to kind of make that proposal, like, hey, like I think we should be a little bit more serious about, I don't know, a project or an idea. I think a lot more people are more open to it because you took that time to nurture it versus just like, hey, I know you're a person of value. I want something back. They're gonna be like, what can you do for me that I haven't already gotten? It's kind of takes time, but you gotta be patient.
That's amazing, Terrence, because I think a lot of people probably miss that step that you just pointed out about actually nurturing relationships long term. Like you said, a lot of
Yeah.
people, when they meet any person, they so transactional when it comes to business that they don't understand that real relationships, they occur over time. And like you said, you might meet somebody at a certain point in time, but that doesn't mean y'all ready to collaborate,
Yeah.
and it's just really about just making sure you immerse yourself in your networking environment and keeping those relationships alive. And like you said, over time, those connections seem just to come together when they're supposed to.
Yeah, I try to tell people it's like dating. You can't ask them to be your girlfriend on first date. You might though. It ain't gonna it's not gonna come every time, but you gotta take her, date two, date three, feel it out first, and then see what you want. But if you get that special one on the first date, then go all in. You never know what could happen. Like it's I've been in sometimes like I met somebody, they'd be like, it might be a partnership thing. They'll say, I got an idea for something. I'm like, let's do it. If I'm in the mood, I'm like, let's go. Send me the email tonight. We can start this now. Like, if that's the speed of it that you want to do it, sometimes it's fun. Sometimes you kind of learn something from it, but you got to be able, everything's different. You got to be adaptable and fluid. And, if it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. On the business stuff, like sometimes you got to take those L's and understand from it. Don't just be like, oh, my idea sucks. Like I said, I was 7 years in and I feel like I was on Complex Magazine. I could have said, this is my pinnacle. I feel like that wasn't even the bottom. I'm still trying to tell people the story, and that's why I try to tell people it's like writing a book while the book is still being written and you're still learning to read. You got to get people interested to read the book, but you have to keep building on the book. So I try to tell people like it's a story that you're consistently building, and you can't compare yourself to the big brands like the luxury ones. They've been around since like 1857. I'm like, they've been around 200-300 years. And I still can't ask, my grandparents what a Balenciaga is. They're like, what is that? But it takes time, it's time, energy, and just take the small wins when you get them and just keep it moving.
I like your attitude, man. Like you said, the small wins matter. So tell me, if you had a chance to go back 7 years and talk to the young Terrance Diggs, what would you tell him? Like when it comes to entrepreneurship, like what's the starting point? Like what would you try to share with him to make sure that he could try to get off on the right foot?
Definitely tell them it's not easy. It's gonna be a challenge. Definitely go to bed sometimes. You don't need to stay up till 4 in the morning every time. Definitely be more attentive. I feel like when I was younger, I was very much like go, 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 go. Like I felt like I was fighting against like my own life circumstances that are going around. Like obviously, 2021, you're just like, this ain't nothing. I can do whatever I want. By the time some people get married, they have kids, you're looking at yourself, you're like, all right, maybe this business thing ain't for me. Sometimes outside life things can get to it. And it's what I probably tell myself, like, you're probably gonna get a lot more L's and W's than you think you're gonna get. Like, yeah, you got 10 people to like your stuff. That ain't enough to start making some money. Because once you make those 10 shirts, you have to make 10 more. You have to account for what 10 means in terms of the money to make 10, to then make 20, to then make 50, to then make 100, to then make, it's a process. And just keep trying. I feel like when I was younger, as like I said, I'm a real answers guy. Like if 1 + 1 didn't equal 2, and it sometimes equals 3, I'd be like, all right, I don't care to figure it out. But sometimes now it's like, how can I put together and understand not only myself, but people around me, my own mental health, my own physical health, and just staying strong, because you gotta be strong to be an entrepreneur. You're gonna get a lot of no's. You're gonna get ghosted sometimes. You might go to an event and nobody gonna talk to you. So you gotta just take it. All right, what's the next step gonna be, and go at it full force and keep the faith.
That's good stuff, Terrence. I can actually hear the experience in you, and that's really cool because you talking. I could tell you have that Teflon armor though. You're gonna be very successful. Like you said, you're nowhere near your top because what you just pointed out is where most people quit. Like all the no's, all the shutting it down, people ghosting you. So many people aren't built for this. But the fact that you just said that so casually, I know we're gonna be hearing a lot from you. Talk to me. What's an ASICS ambassador?
Yeah, so like you get a bunch of shoes. Like I said, I run like a whole bunch of races up and down the East Coast. So Asics has been able to, provide, my race kits, my footwear, stuff like that. I'm able to just kind of promote the brand and what they stand for, which is sound mind, sound body. So being able to, you gotta be right up here for all this to work. Like, obviously prioritizing your mental health, obviously recover and care. It's something that, a lot of athletes, they talk about, like, they talk about Kobe and the Mamba mentality. He had to be able to lock in mentally in order to perform at the peak that he wanted to. Or you might hear guys talk about, oh, they study the art of war. They beat you on the mental game before the game's already started. Being able to kind of, at least for me, it's always my recovery, making sure that I'm getting rest, making sure that I'm in tune with myself, so I know when it comes to race days, my body's ready to go. I'm trying to hit some PRs and have fun and look immaculate while doing it. So shout out to Asics for all the shoes you can't see behind me, but it's a decent amount. Don't tell my girlfriend at the 6 bags behind me of shoes.
So tell me how working with such global brands like BAPE and Kith, like how are those shaping you right now? Like that's a high level, those some high level brands. So how's that helping you with your journey?
I think it definitely put me into the experience of like what it's like to hear those conversations. Like it's definitely different. At least it was for me, being the consumer to now being the person that's like in the chair having those conversations. Obviously, I was surrounded like by a super great team at Asics, to navigate those things, but it's different. Like, going into, let's say, champs, you see the shoe on the wall, but you don't know about the 9 to 15 months it took to get there. Working with like Bape, we were doing Asics did a release for Paris Fashion Week. So it's kind of understanding like why they make these steps, why they do these colorways, why they do these activations, all to, obviously sell the product. But I didn't know all that. So now when I go into those conversations and brands are reaching out. So, like, for example, we just did a pop-up with the Washington Spirit. That's the pro soccer team in DC with the NWSL. I was able to navigate that conversation easily. Like, what are you guys doing? Here's what I'm doing. This is the stuff I'm bringing. This is what the audience is going to be like. Now I know what my setup's going to look like. I come into this very strategically. It's not just like, hey, I'm bringing whatever. I'm like, no, I know, what the ages, the kids, the teams, the sport, what that looks like. And I feel like a lot of that with Asics and working with those big brands, it kind of taught me that. So it was like that was like my hyper master class working up there, up in Boston. So showed me what it was like. And, I'm taking those lessons and I'm applying them myself. And I try to share them with people. I'm like, look, don't get heartbroken. That's just how that's how finance broke it down with the budget. Like, it takes time and it's people's money. So you gotta do it. You gotta do it correctly, or like I said, they're gonna keep it moving. And the only thing that sucks is I'm moving right with them, so I'm not missing my shot.
Yeah. No, I think it feels like you're placing yourself in really good situations. So talk to me about, obviously you a young minority. Sometimes that could work in your favor, right? And I guess sometimes, it seems like, we're still in every industry, still breaking through, glass ceilings and la la la. So, like, tell me how you feel about like just being a minority in your industry overall.
I feel like for me, it's always been a superpower because I feel like I'm in tap with just like the digital world and like what the culture is seeing. I feel like it's always just so many things you see in terms of just like what they say culture is, but they don't really talk about the things that are also going beneath it. Obviously, like in sports, obviously we know the LeBron James, we know the Patrick Mahomes, we know the Tyreek Hills, but there's so many other athletes that have gone through and existed that it's like, we might not necessarily know their stories, but they do a lot of immaculate things. So, like, for example, I went down to Charlotte, North Carolina to a all black owned running store. Some of the things that they've been able to do, not everybody can get in there. It's interesting to see in the people they bring and also their own experiences what you can learn. I forgot the name of the gentleman that I met, but he went to North Carolina State, actually set the NCAA record for the fastest mile. It was a black dude. And I don't really talk about him a lot, but he's in the record books. He wrote a book and everything. And I was like, I can't believe this is history that's not been told about. They talk about, these distances and stuff like that. But this was a black dude from North Carolina. I think he's from either Pittsburgh or Chicago, went to NC State freshman year and broke the mile record, and it wasn't broken for like 40 years. So it's something that you might never know, or being able to kind of like step into situations. And maybe I'm a bit of a troll, but I like the shock factor when I walk into the running store and they say, "Oh, well, where's the D17 guy?" I'm like, "He's over there, and he's playing Baltimore club music right before the run." And they don't suspect it, but they once they kind of like get to know me, it's like, all right, he's a cool guy. He knows what he's talking about. And like I said, it's how I've been able to step into those spaces. Like, it don't matter if I could be in Southeast DC, I can be in West Baltimore, I can be in Boston, I can be anywhere and still kind of fit in and understand, like, read the room in those environments. So, hey, as long as my skin's glowing and looking great under this studio camera, I take it. Shout out to God, and shout out to my esthetician for keeping me together. So
Yo, I mean, Terrance, it sounds like you just know how to navigate all the different levels, man. I'm so proud of you. I mean, it's a real big deal because you definitely representing the culture, though, and I just right now where we are this day and age, I mean, there's just so much more opportunity for us, It's just really about making sure that you packaging yourself correctly and you clearly are doing your homework. You're a student of the game, though. That's why, I mean, I can always tell somebody that's really putting in the work on their side of the ball. It's like you said, you just have to be ready, and I just think that a lot of times now, especially, younger people might feel like you said, you could just jump on social media, get some followers, and boom, it's going to be successful. When that's really not how it works, because as you pointed out, you can have 60,000 followers, but then you can try to drop something, some sort of brand on your own and not do well because you haven't nurtured those relationships long term to kind of build everything up so you can just catapult yourself to where you're supposed to be. That's some really good information, man. I think a lot of people are going to learn from this interview, man.
Yeah, it's how it goes. And I feel like a little bit of tidbit like off that is like being able what you do with these platforms that you build. Like I said, I'm not some super designer guy. I'm not like flying to Milan tonight. You know what I mean? But like what you do with those things, like I know with D17, we've worked with photographers of color. We worked with female photographers. My lawyer's black. Being able to diversify the models, being able to diversify the agencies that we work with. I just got off of a call with a guy, young dude like me, black dude. He's like, look, I got a marketing agency. I said, look, if nobody's going to give you a shot, I'll give you the first one, just to kind of see what we're doing. Things we've done with youth athletes, like how are we affecting education from elementary to higher? We did a collaboration with Howard County Recreation and Parks to bring down the summer camp fees for kids to get into summer camps, sports summer camps. That can be a barrier. How are we able to push that through? Our running club, we have a box with a company in Miami called Sneaker Impact. People can bring their shoes to donate into the box, and we are able to send them down there, and they send them directly to impoverished countries in the Caribbean or Africa or South America to repurpose the shoes. If they can't repurpose them, they grind them down, and they turn them into like playground pellets for like schools in the city and stuff like that. And being so close to Baltimore, it's a lot of stuff that goes on. Obviously, we see the news, people see the crime rates and stuff like that. What can I do with kids that they're in sports? If they're not going D1, let's use the brand to create an event with very prolific Division 2, Division 3 JUCO or professional athletes. Not everybody's going to be in the NBA, but if I can go get a bag in Morocco for like 10 years or get a two-way in the NBA, I'd love a kid to be understand to have that knowledge. Not only the kid, but the parent too. It has to go both ways, and we try to find ways within communities of color to give that out. And this is all most, if not majority of the time, for free, because I didn't have a lot of those opportunities, and now that I'm in a position to kind of help, alleviate something. If it's a kid in high school, I say, look, man, what's your shoe size? I got so many freaking shoes. I'll give them to you because it might be a kid he can't afford to get shoes or something that season, or he might not be able to do that. And one of our goals with D17 is we want to start outfitting youth teams and helping them get the access to getting equipment, uniforms, gym space, what their needs are, and kind of going from there. So like I said, it's so much to do and so many things to get through that I hope those listening kind of think about those outside things with their brands, and how to piece that together to take that next step and just keep it cool. We're all humans. We all people at the end of the day, and just have fun with it. I hope that answered it. I ramble sometimes.
Nah. Actually, honestly, that right there was a masterclass in community involvement. A lot of times, that's the way to do it. Yeah, man. Because that's at the end of the day, that's the win-win all the way around, right? Like you said, somebody that can benefit from those shoes that you just have sitting there. Like that's really making sure.
I got them right here. I can show you if y'all not doing nothing. This is it. This is the shoe. This is somebody, no disrespect to them. I love her to death. Somebody was going to throw these away.
Wow.
These are brand new. If there's somebody that can go, it might have a little bit of wear and tear, but, like I said, we work with Sneaker Impact, and they have like professional, like shoe restorers that can, change the outsole and be able, this midsole is still intact. This is going to end up in a landfill. Like there's a kid out there that could have used this for cross country season, track season, football season, or something like that. If we're able to kind of kill those barriers, like it's kind of something that's kind of ongoing. I can't I'm not Superman, but I can do what I can, whether it's equipment, like I said, financial. We did a recreation in Howard County Recreation and Parks. Summer camp fees can be extremely high. It might be a kid that he's dying to play lacrosse. It's a very expensive sport to get into. But if that registration is $300 and we can get it down to 150, it just makes it a little bit easier for somebody. Or if it's with our running club, trying to bring out somebody that's a physical, we might have, our group, and then we bring out a physical therapist, occupational therapist, a dietitian. The salt will kill us all. Being able to kind of understand those things, like after the runs is how you need to be recovering, is what you need to be eating. You know, a lot of our runners, we're 25 to 35. It's like my back is hurting. Well, this is why we bring an occupational therapist, because we found out that the shoes you're running in, the pain always goes down. Your back's hurting, which is giving you shin splints because of the shoes, which is why you're having trouble getting the dishes out the dishwasher. If you don't fix this at 29, it's gonna destroy you at 79. You know what I mean? Like these are habits that you have to try to learn early, and I'm glad the brand is kind of bringing those pieces together. And we do bring, black owned PT firms, black owned yoga instructors, women owned yoga instructors, being able to give that essence. It might be someone's first class. Like I know somebody that they just opened a yoga studio. They didn't have a client for like 2 months. I was like, I'll bring the whole run club to your studio. We'll shoot the content. We'll do the social media. We'll fill the rooms. We'll bring a food vendor outside, a black owned food vendor or whoever, and we'll just have fun. I can do that all with a social media post off the brand page. It's quick. Somebody's doing it. I'm not the first one. I'm just the guy that did it. You know, that's all I can say. I'm not trying to. I tell people I'm no philosopher. I'm just a guy that's too stubborn to stop. Once again, don't tell my girlfriend, because sometimes I'm too stubborn. If I need to get off the game, I need to get off the game. But I'm trying to win. I'm ranked in FIFA right now. I'm not trying to lose.
Nah,
So
Terrence, you
that's
definitely
how it
gonna
goes.
win. Yeah, because it's what you putting together is it's all about the collective, right? So as long as everybody's doing their part and everybody's taking a piece of the puzzle and everybody's trying to give back and tie everybody in, then we make a difference. It's the overall global impact that we can make. So I'm really appreciating everything you're telling us right now. Hey, so okay, so you've done D17, you've worked with some really big global brands. Like what's next coming out of that beautiful brain of yours, man?
I know in the immediate, this Thursday we'll be running with Under Armour, down at the Under Armour HQ for the Charles Street 12 miler. That is a Charm City Run event. Usually it's the lead up to the Baltimore Running Festival. So we'll be teaming up with the Canton Run Club, Runners Run, a black owned and a women owned run club in Baltimore City. Um, and then hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be in illustrious South Beach 305, for Art Basel. We'll be doing some activations down there, and I'll be tapping back into my artistic roots. So I'm hoping I can get that all settled and done and slide my way to a Miami Heat game. I'm a big Miami Heat fan, so I need them to do something, because I'm getting tired of losing finals from ever since that freaking bubble in 2020. But it's all good.
Hey, look, that sounds like a serious plan. I like what your future beholds. Now, tell all of my viewers where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, D17 Terrance, Twitter, D17 Terrance. You don't like that, D17Terrance.com. You know, just the letter D17 Terrance and Terrance, and that's about it. I'm pretty easy to find. Now my Google rankings are getting up there. I got a knowledge panel now, so I feel like, I'm all connected and stuff. I'll be looking at it every day. So sorry to Google if they keep pinging my IP address. I'm a little conceited sometimes. I like to see the pictures and the articles pop up.
I like you a lot, and I hope you guys caught how he's branded right. Everything D17 consistent across the board, easy to find them.
I'll give a shout out to my family, because I grew up with a lot of people that loved computers. My father bought my name as a domain when I was born.
What?
So it was like 15 cents. So, back in the day. So shout out to him for, getting that. Like my turn, like I think I was like 13 or something.
Uh,
Like I have an uncle that's a web designer. I have another uncle that does IT. Like a lot of my family did IT stuff. And they're like, yeah, you're gonna build your own website. And I'm like, what am I gonna call it? They're like, oh, we bought the name, back in the 90s for like 15 cents. That's back when it was super cheap. And I just had it the whole time. And luckily D17 Terrance was like not touched. And, my marketing brand, I claimed it on like everything. So the easier I can make it for the people, the easier I can make it on myself. So that's
yeah.
the good part of it all.
All right. Well, you know what? Again, Terrence, you're about to go to phenomenal places, man, because I could just see it.
Bananas.
So from the bottom of my heart, man, I'm definitely gonna be always following you. Let's make sure we keep in touch. And everybody, y'all should be clapping y'all hands for Terrance Diggs because he's definitely up next. So appreciate you. Big
Yeah,
time.
thanks for having me. Shout out to your platform. I did my research too, looking it up and everything. Shout out to everything that you've been doing too, from all your ventures and being able to tap into all that. So I gotta give my flowers back from when I saw him. I was like, okay, this about to be fun. I'm trying to hustle and grow and hustle some more and watch them dollars stack up because I'm coming for more. Oh my gosh, I'm done. I gotta mute myself.
Show for that, my man. So look, man, this is Marcel Clark. I was with Terrance Diggs. Man, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button so we can definitely get more of the entrepreneurs of this caliber on the show. And man, remember, if hustling's in your DNA, ride with me and watch us grow.